Right, welcome back to Tales from the PowerAge. How are you doing, guys? You well?
Yeah, hi there.
All good, mate.
Everyone's good. Right, brilliant. So, we're taking you all the way back to 1991 and killer albums from 1991. And it was an amazing year because it was the end of the Cold War in 1991. But was there some hot music coming out? Well, you bet your life there was. And we're going to talk about some of the key albums that were released in that year. Now, if you don't want to see one of these episodes before, what we do, we curate 12 of the best albums released in 1991, mainly rock and metal. There's a couple that speak to me that arguably aren't, but anyway, I'll leave you to decide on that this time round. We then vote on our favorite from the 12, and then we produce the official top 5 from 1991 Tales from the PowerAge. So hopefully that makes sense. What we'd like you to do, though, before we do anything else, is subscribe, hit the house bell, tell us what you think. Tell us what your top 5 were. Or, if you could be bothered, tell us what your top 12 was. I'm sure you'll have some different views to us today. So let's get to it. I think I'm up first as well.
Yeah, you're first up.
So, things were changing on the music scene. And there's a couple of albums I'm presenting that really made a huge impact on many of the records that we've covered on previous episodes. This is Pearl Jam's debut, 10. And tonight it was on Epic, as you can see, and it is an absolutely barnstormingly excellent album. I couldn't believe it. I was lucky enough to go and see him at the Edwards No. 8, and they were amazing. It just blew me away. Here's the this is what I got first. This is the Alive 12-inch, and it's got a huge poster with it, again on Epic, with Once and Wash on the B-side. It's just, I couldn't believe how good it was and how different it sounded. And I think at the time, being at uni, it just fitted everything you wanted to be. Those baggy sweatshirts, the long white T-shirt underneath that, slightly baggy jeans, Converse on your feet. It was cool. Look, really long hair as well at the time. It was amazing. I just thought it was such a super record. Of course, they were phenomenal live, and Eddie Vedder's voice is just utterly incredible. A few shout-outs from the album, song-wise. Once, Even Flow. Even Flow, still one of my favourite songs. Brilliant live, absolutely super. Alive was, as I've already mentioned. Black, which is still a classic, still in their set list, but you could argue they play like 36 songs when they play live anyway, so they try and get through as much of the back catalogue as possible. The brilliant Jeremy, what a tune that is.
Yeah.
Oceans, Porch, Deep. It was produced by Pearl Jam and Rick Parashar. I just love it. And I think it was a real album of its time. It still sounds brilliant today. I don't think they ever hit these heights again. They made some great tracks after this, but they never, in my mind, never released an album as good as this since 10. So that's my view on that album. Any other points to that, boys?
I absolutely loved it. I was at the record company at the time, and there was such a buzz about them. They were really going to be putting a lot of money behind them and a lot of effort. And they signed quite a few of these sorts of bands at the time, but these were rising to the top big time. There were some live videos. I think Alive was a live video, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was incredible.
There was some with the original live recordings kicking around on VHS back in the day, and you could see they were phenomenal live. And Eddie was a great front man, and climbing around the stage, climbing up the lighting rigs, just complete nutter.
Yeah.
I like the aggression on it as well. There's things like Jeremy, quietly aggressive, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's really taken a jump from, if we think about what music had been like, whether it was thrash singing about heavy metal, or whether it was glam singing about going out and getting wasted and, spending the night with loads of chicks. Suddenly, you felt you had a thinking man's metal band. And that's how it felt, I think, and it's fitted to maybe how I was feeling at the time at uni, thinking, well, I'm a bit more intelligent now, and maybe this is the sort of thing I should be listening to. So,
Epic. We're at the forefront, really, Gav, on that. You're in a great place at the right time.
Yeah.
Promote this new what, you know, the new sound, the new wave. They were right at the front with it, with a lot of bands. And
Yeah, they got a lot of the good ones around this time. They got Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, bands like that. But they also signed a lot of glam a few years before that didn't pay off. Quite a few. They used to have a lot on their roster that you don't see if they don't make it.
Yeah,
you know. So I don't know whether they A&R people changed or they just kind of picked up the beat. Rage Against the Machine as well. Later on. Yeah. So yeah, they did really well.
Fair play.
Yeah. The next one arguably changed the rock genre for forever, or certainly for a while anyway, because we'd gone on this crescendo of sort of huge rock albums, overproduced, all the big hair, same type of songs, talking about the same sorts of things, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, you had this amazing video of these what seemed like kids like us, and to be fair, they were our age at that time. I think Mr. Grohl is my age or 1 year older, or he's around the same age. And so they looked like us. They dressed a bit like us, you know, certainly college students and stuff at the time. And the video was just amazing, just utterly blew me away. Now, I wasn't lucky enough to see Nirvana. They played Birmingham a couple of times, and I missed out on the ticket. You know, it's huge. It's one of those regrets that I didn't get to see them at the time. But they were brilliant. And this album, right the way from the cover, which you probably will see in the controversy with the young lad suing the record company, or trying to sue the record company, or Nirvana, the Nirvana estate, etc., trying to say he was exploited in that picture. But look, it was really different.
I put the safe one on. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I was just thinking that was his PP gone, but yeah, that's missing. So yeah, I mean, Smells Like Teen Spirit, In Bloom, Come As You Are. I mean, what a tune that is. Breed, Lithium, Polly, On a Plane and Simple Way. Yeah, I mean, it's just a brilliant album, and it's just really, really different as well. It was just groundbreaking at the time. I had it originally. I've got the original vinyl here now. I had it originally on a cassette, and it came with this huge poster, as everything seemed to, which was pinned on my student digs on the wall, big picture, this big cover. Like, I wish I still had it, but sadly, alas, I don't have it anymore. And I used to drive around at college in my little mini Metro. It's a white mini Metro, otherwise known as the Milk Float. And it would be coming trunkling down the road with Nirvana blasting out the windows. It was just brilliant, and it blew me away. It was so exciting, so exciting for us to be at the time when there was some really new music and a new sort of genre coming out. So yeah, brilliant. I don't know what you guys think of this one.
Absolutely loved it. Fantastic record, infinitely better for me than the first one that you showed, which never really floated my boat at all. But this is just superb from start to finish. It's a lot more aggressive. It's kind of punky in a way.
Yeah, it's more punk.
The production's amazing. The drumming's amazing. We had it on the jukebox in the King's Head, where me and Jam used to frequent almost every night. We put all this on, and when the Metallica Black album was on there as well, and those were the two albums the only real rock albums that were on that jukebox, and they got played all the time, didn't they? And they had to turn it. They had to turn it down because the older folks in the other bar didn't like it.
Do you know what? It makes me just remember it. It was on Geffen, David Geffen records, the same as Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, which I'm guessing the record company would have pumped millions and millions into it. I bet they couldn't believe their luck. This went stratospheric, not just in the States, but around the world.
It was the first one on Geffen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The other had been on Sub Pop.
That's right, yeah.
But it was a bit of a game changer because, again, you weren't 100% sure what the genre. I remember thinking, what genre is it? I never really cared. But you're like, what is this? And it was a great record to play. I know it said we play all of our music loud, but it's a great one to play loud. Gaps actually said that. So I was going to say, he had it on the jukebox in our village pub in the King's Head, and it would be on there. That was on there, and Metallica, as you said. But this played loud, sounded awesome, really great. And it's one of those ones that we got a few comments and a few complaints. Can you turn it down a bit? Not really. This is great.
No, not really. No,
you can't really. All the songs are great. I mean, for me, it's not stood the test of time for me personally. It's not one that I've returned to as often as perhaps as with you guys. I don't know, but at the time,
you're right. I listened to Pearl Jam more than this one.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? But at the time, it had its place, and it was really good, and it had a great vibe to it. So yeah.
That's Nirvana. Never mind. Next one. It's funny because a lot of rock acts or metal acts were coming to a bit of a difficult time in '91, and then suddenly, nowhere, Ozzy Osbourne produces this absolute storming record. So again, in the rock clubs, interesting because you'd have Nirvana on 1 minute and you'd have different floors. So you'd have like the sub pop stuff going on downstairs, and then the more traditional classic rock metal on the middle floor, and maybe thrash upstairs. These were the songs on this album, as Nirvana and as Pearl Jam, were real floor fillers, I guess, and just getting everybody up. The difference between Nirvana and this album, Nirvana was making it into the student clubs as well, not just the rock clubs. So in the student clubs, Nirvana was being played, whereas Ozzy Osbourne wasn't. But that said, I mean, there are some absolutely super tracks on this. Mr. Tinker Train, I Don't Want to Change the World, Mama, I'm Coming Home, which is, again, an Ozzy classic, the brilliant No More Tears, Hellraiser. I got a couple of these. Aren't the original vinyls, sadly. This is a special edition double vinyl, which I've had for some time.
Nice.
And this is from 4 years ago. This is the Record Store Day picture disc special, which is quite nice. Still on Epic as well. So that's pretty cool. That's never been great. Yeah, so there you go. That's cool. I don't know your thoughts on this album, guys. It was a real return. The album before was good, but this was just this was bloody brilliant.
Didn't listen to it back in the day, but listening to it for this pod, I really liked it. Really liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it. For the vocals, Ozzy's vocals I thought sounded great on it, and it was properly layered up, real layered, lots of real layered vocals from Ozzy, which was great. The songs, like you said, Dills, some real anthems, real anthemic songs, and again, I think helped because of being a bit more back to basic and having repetitive choruses, which I'm a Scorpion fan, so I love. I love Scorpion, so I love a repetitive chorus. There's nothing wrong with that. It really gets the message across, and it can sound really great when you're up and out and singing it. But Zakk Wylde, for me, his chugging and riffing and wiring on this is awesome.
Yeah, some of the solos on this are great.
Zakk Wylde, I mean, as far as a guitarist, I thought he was great at the time. I always liked him. But that's, as you probably know, that's probably one of the reasons why one of my children is called Zakk, because he's a very cool guy, very cool guitarist. And on this, he just sounds brilliant. And it sold a bucket load. We sometimes mention it. We don't worry too much here on Tales of the PowerAge about what was popular and what wasn't, because we just know what we liked at the time. But this one really did shift a shed load of units, didn't it? Ozzy was a massive megastar, and he was still good. He was still good for us, even us out in the sticks, out in the countryside or at uni. So, great one for me. And even though it had the great metal, it still had the commercial appeal with like "Mama, I'm Coming Home." You know what I mean? It could still have a hit single, and that would have obviously promoted the record really well as well. So, big tick for me on this one.
Yeah, and there's some Lemmy co-writes. I think 3 of them are co-written with Lemmy.
Yeah.
And, I read somewhere that Lemmy made more money out of this album than any Motorhead album.
Yeah.
All of them put together, I think you said, didn't you?
Because it sold so many.
I'm sure that's what you said.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe Ace of Spades might over time have made him the money, but yeah, a good little strategic move on the part of Lemmy there. And then Motorhead did Hellraiser as well at one point. But
and they did it together as well. They did a Record Store Day release on a 10-inch EP. I've got down there somewhere. Ozzy and Lemmy did Hellraiser together, which is great.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that Lemmy could write those sorts of songs as well, because they're, some really good songs that you wouldn't in a million years say that were Lemmy, apart from Hellraiser.
Yeah.
So fair play to him.
If you've not seen the video "No More Tears," check that out as well, because it's just and to your point, Jam, Zakk Wylde is absolutely on fire.
Yeah, and this is when Ozzy didn't talk to me when I met him. This era,
Famous claim to fame.
Completely binned you off, didn't he?
Yeah, I got the guts to go up to him and say, "Oh, Ozzy, music means a lot to me," that kind of stuff. And he looked me in the face and then went, "Okay."
I love that you got more words out of the Queen
He may have been slightly the worse for wear.
I think he definitely was. Yeah, but I think that around this time he fell off the wagon quite heavily. Bless him.
Yeah. Anyway, great album. Let's go to Gaps.
Yeah, on to me then. So this is the first one I've got, Mr. Big. Got into these when I've only got the CD, unfortunately. But my brother had it, and he got me into this because he was a bit of a shredding guitar fan at the time. And this is the first time I'd really heard Paul Gilbert. Obviously, I'd heard Billy Sheehan before with DLR, and they go right into it with the first song. And they're playing some great stuff and some stuff reminiscent of the DLR stuff. But this album's probably most famous for having To Be With You on it, which is #1 single in, I think, 12 countries around the world, including the US, for 3 weeks, which is absolutely ridiculous when you think about it. Got to #3 in the UK as well, but brilliant cover as well, with a bit of a rail disaster there in France.
Yeah, that's the Musée d'Orsay, I think you'll find now.
So yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's all impressionism in that. Can't believe I know this rubbish, but that's impressionism in that gallery now. So if you know anything about that, tell us in the comments.
Yeah, fantastic cover. But yeah, it's a great album. Alive and Kicking, Voodoo Kiss, and My Kind of Woman are my favourite tracks on the album. It tails off a bit at the end, but all in all, very strong release, and I really love it to this day. Very good. What do you boys reckon?
I felt at the time that single was popular due to the Extreme one, you know, the
More Than Words.
Yeah, the More Than Words probably paved the way for a song like that from a rock band to be a hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
But More Than Words is better.
Well, I liked it. Gaps, I thought, I like Mr. Big. I think Mr. Sheehan is an absolute legend. Of course, you're a big bass player, so you can see why you would.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah,
record. I mean, he's brilliant, and I agree with you as well. I think Voodoo Kiss is a great song. Alive and Kicking's good, and who can argue if you have a #1 single all over the world playing rock? So fair play to them. Must have made some money out of this record for sure,
without a doubt. So we're going to be coming from a left field with this next one. It's certainly not metal. It's, some would argue, not even rock music, but I would say it is. It's sort of indie Celtic rock, folk rock, and you've got banjo in it, you've got bouzouki in it, you've got mandolin in it, you've got violin in it. I've got the vinyl there, which came out in '91, but I didn't get that until after. That's the 15 Years EP, and that came out in '92, and it's not on the original press of the album. And that's what got me into the Levers. 15 Years, still one of my favourite tracks of all time, by any band. So that I then bought the tape, which I sadly no longer own, and it was actually on that. So I've always thought, until I bought the vinyl of the album, that was on the album, and it actually wasn't. But it doesn't detract from the album, because every single song is absolutely brilliant. Favourites for me: The Game, Another Man's Cause, Sell Out, The River Flow. It's even got a bit of double bass drumming in it for Mr. Gav down the bottom there, which is unusual for an indie rock band. But vocally, it's superb. Great harmonies all over the place. It's a fantastic record, and I still listen to it quite a lot.
You certainly won't get any arguments, as you'll guess.
I didn't think I'd get any arguments from you.
For me, one of our great mates, friend of the pod, Flotty, he was at Portsmouth Uni. Dill was up in Birmingham. Flotty went down there. That had a bit more of an indie scene, a sort of a rock scene. That had more like your on Disneyland and that sort of thing. And the Levelers were massive in their particular. And I think I picked up on it down there. And I absolutely loved this record when it first came. It was totally different to anything I was into.
Same as.
It's certainly rock. It's got brilliant bass, and I love that. I love a violin when you can bring that into the rock spectrum. Really heavy bass. When you bring in mandolins, as you said, and it's got a real FU message. It's really up against the man. The Levelers themselves were all about ripping it up, and do you know what I mean? It was brilliant. I loved it. You said you can't pick a track off this because 15 Years, One Way of Life, it's brilliant. But there weren't any fillers with this record. There weren't any fillers.
No.
I just really love it. I've continuously listened to it for the last God knows how many, since '91, and I will continue to do so. I still see them live. And I see lots of bands similar genre, and lots of bands that these opened up a massive section of the UK, especially to this type of music, and it's fantastic. So, brilliant record.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering as we go through the 90s whether we're going to start introducing In Spiral Carpets, the Charlatans. Anyway,
I like both for them too.
Yeah, there you go.
I was aware of them at the time. I never really got into them, but certainly listening to it now, I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Yeah, I would have been into it if I'd have been introduced to it back then. It also looks like a love-hate cover, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It's actually designed by the bass player. Did all the artwork.
Ah, okay, same as love-hate.
They're probably one of the reasons
Right?
why I do have a didgeridoo in my front room, because that's what you need when you listen to the level. Is it does help. It does help sometimes.
That's not a didgeridoo for anyone watching. Anyway, we move on swiftly on to the next one.
Didgeridoo.
Oh, yes. Here we go. So we're back to metal now. With Tesla and their best album for me, which I have here. There it is. Beautiful record. Quite sought after these days as well. Yeah. It's quite costly to get that on vinyl nowadays.
I don't think I've ever seen it in the wild.
No, it's brilliant. Side one is immense. I mean, this album clocks in at 68 minutes, which was a long time. Maybe not quite as long as the Guns N' Roses albums of this year, but yes, fantastic. It's got Edison's Medicine, which is the lead single off it, which is a great song. Got that as well on this limited edition green vinyl thing, which is actually, you actually have to fold the whole thing out to get the record out. I'm not going to do it now because I'll drop it. But yeah, that's the songs on here which resonate with for me are Don't De-Rock Me, which is one of the greatest metal songs you'll ever hear. It starts with a guitar solo. It's got a drum solo in the middle. It's got 8 solos, 4 by each guitar player, each one with a different riff underneath it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's just a storming metal song. But probably the best song, the most important song on here is Song and Emotion, which was written about Steve Clark, who recently passed away. It's got a great Def Leppard inspired riff. The lyrics are superb. It's just got a very, very strange 2-minute noisy ending, which is a bit weird, but I gloss over that. Some great stuff on here. There's so many influences. G&R, there's some Aerosmith on here. There's even a little Bob Dylan track or inspired track at the beginning of side 2. Freedom Slaves is another great one on this. And me and Naz, who's a friend of the pod, we went to see him in 91 at Hammersmith Odeon, and they blew our socks off. They're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. That's interesting, the Def Leppard connection, because, of course, we'd seen them supporting Def Leppard at Hammersmith in 87 on the first run of the Hysteria tour. But, yeah, I think it's a good album, Caps. I like it. Yeah, I, again, agree with you on the song choices. Of course, Edison's Medicine's the most famous song from this album and was the single. So I think these are a band that probably should have survived a little bit more. We saw them at Download.
Still going.
Yeah, we saw them Download a few years ago, but they were pretty early on in the bill. I mean, they were one of the first bands on, and you'd think, given their back catalogue, they should almost be playing bigger venues. I think if they came over here, they'd struggle to play big venues, really.
Well, they would now, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
I think one of the latest albums they've done was produced by Phil from Def Leppard. I think they're still real friends.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I really appreciate this. The drumming especially, but I think he's a fabulous drummer, really underrated. Love his style. It's a strong album, but it passed me by at the time, I must admit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same, but again, the connotations of the name is quite interesting nowadays. My children would probably think, what am I talking about if I said I was listening to Tesla? What?
God, yeah, I hadn't even thought of that.
Is there a motor vehicle? No. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. Now, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
God.
Really?
Anyway, we'll leave that. So let's leave Tesla there. That's a bit of metal. Let's go back to the pop picking. So over to you, Jam.
Thank you. Bryan Adams, Waking Up the Neighbours. Yeah, it was recorded March 90 to June 91. So Matt Lang, you'd have to guess it, wouldn't you, from that length of time? It was Matt Lang's latest project, his new Hysteria. 74 minutes long, it checks in at 15 tracks.
God.
Yeah, it contains 6 hit singles. It was #1 across the world, sold 16 million copies, the record. before I get dogs abuse.
Well, tell us some of the hit singles off it.
It's at this point that I don't know because they were the ballads that I didn't like. So
What a surprise!
All the songs that I like. All the songs. Yeah, that's it.
That was number one for about 17 weeks, wasn't it?
Only that number one for half a year.
Yeah,
It was 9 or 11 weeks.
All everyone be quiet. No dogs, no abuse at this point. You can't stop this thing we started. Hey, honey, I'm packing you in. Is your mama gonna miss you? Some really great rock, country rock, I might almost say, tracks on this. It's 15 tracks. Ideally, it would have binned off 5, the ballads, obviously, and I'd have had the greatest record here with 10 tracks. It was a time when we had CDs. CDs were happening. Thank God, because it was a lot easier to click through those tracks. Sorry, it is. But it's really great. What's left after the ballads are taken off is a cracking record, and I really like this. Bryan Adams, Say What You Like, Reckless, this, and coming on, there's some great records he's done over the years, and this one
Reckless is great, yeah.
It takes, if you listen to this and flick through the ballads,
it's got a much better cover than this, because this cover
you would actually love it. I've got it, obviously. I you get the record as well. I don't want on everything, and it's just awesome. But there's too many tracks, as you'll see listed on it, because
it's a gatefold, isn't it? Originally,
it was originally. I don't know where.
Yeah, because I bought it expecting it to be a gatefold, and it wasn't.
It's a double album.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not in the realms of it's not a deal poster, but yeah. So it's a really worthwhile album, and I know you guys are giving grief. I don't care. Any thoughts?
Well, my only thought is if you owned this when you were at uni, no one would have spoken to you because it was about as cool as, as an oven. And, you know, I think we all go through that. Clearly he's a talented artist, right? I don't think there's any doubt about that. And he sold tons. But if you remember at the time, the lead single off Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Everything I Do, was what really sent that stratospheric. And interestingly, a bunch of guys from the village where I grew up down the road, and some of the guys actually from your local village, were all extras in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. They went down to the New Forest because they all had long hair and were invited to go and get involved in it. So, yeah, I mean, just the worst thing about this record, of course, which is why I would never buy it, is that single. And it was number one and on the radio constantly. And
yeah, it was so boring.
You couldn't pick what you wanted to listen to on radio stations. You had a couple of radio stations, and this was on all the time. And there's only so much of it you could take. And I would never go out of my way to listen to it on my own. If I hear it, I'd turn it off.
Yeah, I like it. I like that song.
Really?
Especially the longer version. I'm just such a fan of Mutt Lange, and it's practically a Mutt Lange solo song.
But
you know, in terms of how important the production is.
Yeah, and again, this record, Mutt Lange has a writing credit on every song. Yeah. It's Bryan Adams. It's a Mutt Lange album. I would challenge anyone that likes Def Leppard or Hysteria to, if they haven't heard this record and they play it, they'll be like, "Oh, okay," they'll love it.
Yeah,
it's great. But yeah, that it's here for a reason, and that reason, let that reason be love. That's Boyzone. Right, next record.
Oh my God.
Moving on quickly.
The Antidote.
That in, Jam.
Jesus.
The Antidote. The Antidote, obviously, to Bryan Adams is a bit of Mindfunk. Yeah. They're on Epic, obviously, because all the metal bands were at that time. I had this on CD at the time and on tape in my car. Gav, I thank you, Gav. That's how I managed to get my copy of this. And I thank you.
I knew I'd given it to one of you.
It was me.
Yeah, I bought it when it came out.
No, I had it on CD and on tape. I put it on tape as well at the time, because if you really liked a record, you wanted the actual tape for your car. That's nice, madly pretty. But yeah, Mindfunk. Epic. They made them change their name. The original name of I can't possibly say.
Leave that to your imagination.
It'd have to be bleeped. 48 minutes, 10 songs, straight from the off. It's so heavy. Brilliant heavy bass sound and guitar, and it just drives it on. My lasting memory for this, and this is the song that's probably spent as much time as any earworm in my head, is Blood Runs Red. I just love it. It's so awesome. It's so metal. And I spent a hell of a lot of 91 with this on in my car, because cars were obviously we were that age. And this really, really loudly, just loved it so much. I loved everything about it. I love the cover. I know you like this, Gav and Gabs, but what are your overriding thoughts? Anything?
The production's brilliant. The bass playing's stratospheric. It's very funky as well. There's a lot, hence the name. The guitar playing is to die for. The only thing I think lets it down, listening to it again recently, is the vocals. I'm not really keen on the vocal, but all the songs are great and very, as Jam said, it's really heavy. Yeah, really loved it. Very good.
Yeah, I was totally behind this when it came out, and we used to do occasional pushes for bands at certain times, like when they were touring. I really pushed this to the. I was basically selling to record shops, and that's where I got that signed album and a nice note from the manager to say thanks for selling so many. So that was nice.
Is that why they didn't make it, Gav?
Wasn't it their only record as well?
Yeah, I think they were dropped by Sony after this. Yeah, and I know they did release a couple more. The one after this was called Dropped.
Ah, right, okay.
Oh, they were. So that was a shame, but I think although we like the fact that it is different, it's kind of funky, kind of metal-y, I think it probably wasn't palette-y for everybody else. You had to be Chili Peppers or you had to be Slayer. You can't be both. But there's a lot of Chili Peppers influences on this. They actually supported Slayer on the tour.
That makes total sense to me.
Hard enough to support Slayer at the best of times, let alone if you're playing funky stuff.
Yeah.
That'd been fun.
Occasionally a band falls through if you compare, they've not got their cool trendiness as Pearl Jam's album 10 cover, as Dill rightly described the way they looked and how they felt. Mindfunk have gone for this crazy psychedelic metal look on the album cover. So it feels like they've slipped through the grid, in effect. A great record, though.
It wouldn't have taken much tweaking to make that less prominent, even though it says funk in their name. We know it's not supposed to be funk. But yeah, generally, if you try and do multi-genre things, it people can't place where you should go, and it makes it
especially
difficult.
at this time when the music industry was changing completely. Well, the metal sound, the metal industry, anyway.
It's when the industry wants you to be pigeonholed.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes it easier for them more than us. But that's Mindfunk.
Okay, I think you got one more, haven't you?
I have. Look at that monster. So, Van Halen, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, FUCK. Third Sammy Hagar era Van Halen. And the first one since 1984 to feature Ted Templeman, our Lord Master. Mr. Ted, I think, on the production team. So coincidence that this record is freaking brilliant. After the week, thank you, Dill. After the rather, in my opinion, weak OU812, this is really good. It's got really heavy guitars. It's got some great singles. And I will name these great singles because it was at Pound Cake, top of the world, right now. I think it's one of the best Sammy Hagar Van Halen albums. What do you reckon, boys?
It wasn't as good as 5150, but it is much better than OU812. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. 5150 had that real pop.
I remember when Pound Cake came out and you had that beginning that with the drill sound. It was brilliant. And there are some great songs on this album. And as I say, it's much better than OU812, which I really, really didn't like. That's the last Van Halen album I bought on vinyl.
No, but this did feel heavier again. It felt more in tune. It's almost like they're like, let's catch up. The less poppy vibe and then with the guitars, I think.
Yeah, great, good album. And one little fact about this lovely copy with the hype sticker on. Jam bought me this. We were out, didn't we? We had a little trip to the seaside. We had a nice time. He came and stayed with me, and we took an afternoon out. And in my local record store, alas, was this for $7.99 or $6.99 or whatever?
$6.99, if I recall. However, occasionally you see a certain record out in the wild. It's the first time I'd seen that out in the wild at vinyl because it's a 91. But no, and I was more than happy to gift that to Dill because he was kindly playing host to me. So yeah, it's a great record. It's beautiful feel on vinyl. But yeah, that's my 3. That's my lot for you boys.
Brilliant. Thanks to end on some metal there, which is brilliant. So let's move to Gav.
Last 3 people, stick with us. Yeah, some British rock now from our friends from Tamworth. Down for the Good Guys by Wolfsbane. So this was their second full-length album. They did a kind of an EP the year before. And yeah, I've got a limit. It's yours got a limited, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. What are you?
I'm 1,380.
Oh, you God. The higher the number, I think the better fan you were. I think I've
probably. Anyway, yeah, so they come back with a full-length album, produced this time, thankfully, by Brendan O'Brien, not Rick Rubin. And it's not often I say that because I like Rick Rubin's production normally, but he ruined their first album. And if anyone's interested, the first album's just been re-recorded by Wolfsbane, has just been released. So go pick that up. I certainly will when it's on vinyl. There were a couple of singles, as far as I remember. There were...
That's nice, Jam.
Easy was one of them.
Easy's a great song.
Yeah, they did a black edition where everything's black, including the inner sleeve and the label. I don't know if that was inspired by Metallica or if it came before Metallica, but yeah, that's the black version. Even inside of the sleeve, black. Mental. And then there was the ballad Just for Jam, After Midnight.
There's always an exception. There's always an exception to every rule. That song's
that had the comic books inside. Did you have that, Jam? Did I just see
it? Just showing it,
I was displaying whilst you were...
Yeah, I was surprised there's two of them in there.
Oh, I've got one.
I got two.
Two of the same one or different ones?
No, different ones.
I got number one and two. I want to got two.
Jam's chuffed.
Oh, hold on.
I wonder if they got that from Hanno Rocks because they had a comic in Two Steps from the Mood.
Anyway, I really love this album. It sounds much more like the band you go and see live, and there's some real corking songs on here as well, and some kind of silliness as well with a cathode ray clinic and Dead at Last, kind of a country silly song. But yeah, some great rockers that still survive in the set today. Smashed and Blind is brilliant. Yeah,
Black Lagoon for me. Absolutely immense song.
I didn't think Easy was the best idea for the single, to be honest. It's not.
Well, Easy sounds like it could have come off the first album, to be fair.
Yeah.
As a single, if you're in the rock club at Birmingham, if you're Birmingham Uni and in the rock club and Easy comes on, that's the bouncy boppy one though.
Yeah, I guess.
That's the one you're up on I guess you're up on the dance floor too. I would say. As follow up to this baby,
didgeridoo.
We've never been able to because it's an EP. All Hell's Breaking Loose down at little Cathy Wilson's place has never made it into any of our charts, and
it's my favourite Wolfsbane song.
It's brilliant.
We may have to do an EP special one day. Yeah, but I love this. Brilliant. Bought it the day it came out. The back of my T-shirt when I saw them live. I had the T-shirt down for the Good Guys on the back. It was a howling mad shithead. I used to get many comments.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I'd go to the pub.
You wore that all the time.
Because it was brilliant. And people would see it from behind, they'd start laughing. People would be laughing because you didn't have profanities that often on your T-shirt. Just the fact it's on the back, howling mad shithead. And yeah, I remember.
Got grief off your mum when she was ironing it.
But yeah, great record. I loved it. My favourite track is Broken Doll. Absolutely love that track. And the introduction with Dot Cotton is genius. Dot Cotton at the start of Cathode Ray Clinic is just brilliant. And it has an immense ballad called Moonlight. It's brilliant. I love that tune. So yeah, it's a massive thumbs up for me, and I love this record. Well done, Gav. Good choice.
I got this. Finally, went to see him a couple of years later. Accidentally acquired the poster.
£4
it fell off the wall, didn't it?
Bradford, Queen's Hall.
Wow.
Nice.
Classic.
We'd seen
what are you doing in Bradford?
I was going to see Hugh.
Yeah.
Friend of the show.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Wow. And of course, famously, we'd seen them, almost double figures supporting Tiger Tales in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, or from 87, I think it was. So,
I was looking through my tickets recently and I couldn't believe how many times I'd seen them. Saw them in Banbury, saw them in Milton Keynes, saw them at the Astoria.
The Astoria night.
Yeah, where was it? The Astoria.
Yeah, and I had all the Tiger Tales support nights. I mean, probably 5 nights at the Marquee, Royal Standard, all over the place.
Yeah.
And the other thing, sorry, with Wolfsbane, let's just remind ourselves, it's the same for even now. And whatever year you're watching this in, they're probably still performing now, 2035 or whenever you're watching this, and it'll still be the same for. I love them dearly. They're brilliant.
Yeah, and their last album was great as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Next
my
one.
second to last one, some underground band you might not have heard of. So Metallica. Yeah, this we've mentioned this previously in a pod. 3 of us were on holiday when Enter Sandman came out.
Yeah.
Was it Cornwall?
Yeah, Nuki.
Nuki,
yeah. And we were so proud to hear it on the radio, and we couldn't believe it, listening to the chart show how far it was going up the chart. And, you know, we were blasting it out, gagging for the album to come out. Yeah, good times. And then the album came out, and I think some of us were a bit disappointed because that could have been the slowest one on the album, or the most commercial, and the rest of it, like you'd expect from Metallica, but they certainly went down a more commercial route. Production couldn't been more opposite to Justice.
No.
It was full, it was rich, it was brilliant. It blew your speakers in a good way. The Spinal Tap album cover wasn't particularly great, but it didn't affect their sales, did it? So yeah, I rushed out and bought the 12-inch. Again, it doesn't come up very well on the camera, but it's At Enter Sandman, Holier Than Thou, A Work in Progress mix, and Stone Cold Crazy. So that was classic. And then a whole bunch of singles came out off this album. I like the ballad Jam. There's some really good tracks in it. I think it's a really solid album. We just had to mourn the fact they were never going to sound the same again. They were a different beast now, and then went on to be even more kind of slow and strange for the rest of the 90s.
Sololess.
How about you guys?
Well, that's the original album, purchased when it came out. I think the day that it came out.
I got it on CD actually.
Yeah.
Obviously, still.
I've got that, but mine's covered in water, unfortunately.
Independent record store. I did show a second ago. Interestingly, they sort of rekindled the
dusty, that one, Jammo.
I know.
The vertical as well. So that was
nice.
on the old original. Jam's been shown a little bit of the box set. We'll come to it in just 2 secs. But they also released. They've been doing this in the States, and they're going through the back catalogue in the UK as well, and releasing these on. This is on a black smoke. You can't really see it on there, but it's quite nice.
Yeah, you can just about make it out.
Yeah, on double album, which is cool. And like these boys, it was in the local pub. So when I used to go back from Birmingham from college, it was actually on in a pub on the jukebox, which was a real
5Ks.
Yeah. In mental, it was a real uplift how that had happened. I'd seen Metallica in '90 at the NEC in Birmingham. I did have James Hetfield's T-shirt that had been chucked out, and I wish I'd still kept it. He took his T-shirt off, a black T-shirt with the arms cut off.
Yeah.
And I caught it, had his hair in the back of it and everything, and I left it at home. And in between that, I don't know whether my brother stole it.
Oh no.
Either way, I don't own it anymore. But I had a bunch of plectrums from the gig, and they were on fire, weren't they? Then they were brilliant. And of course, then that year they supported AC/DC at Donington, Monsters of Rock, and they also supported AC/DC at that huge show in Moscow. So I like it. Jam,
I love it.
You got the box set, I think.
Well, no, you've got that. So yeah, I got the box set. I mean. Let's just get the yellow for the ring. It's my least favourite up to this point. My least favourite Metallica. I loved Enter Sandman, and I still love that song. So it's in my probably the top 10 of songs of all time that I don't get bored of. It's brilliant. It's awesome. But it was the highlight of the whole record. That I didn't like the rest of the record. I didn't expect it to. No. You put it really, really well. I didn't expect the rest of the record to be like that. I thought we'd got the commercial one, and it was brilliant, and we supported it all the way. I thought it was, so it threw me. And it's this, if anyone ever has the opportunity, this is one of the more affordable of the Metallica box sets, the mastered. It's just got everything. It's got so much. It's superb. It's got so much live stuff up until this point as well. So it really is a great thing to behold. But as far as the actual record is concerned, it didn't float my boat so much. I loved the Garage Days what was the, you know, the covers double album they did? I loved it. And I don't go back to this record because there's
No, I
other
don't either, really.
I listen to. I do put Master of Puppets on. I do Ride the Lightning, and I love the Garage Days revisited and that era of stuff. And I listen to that more. So I don't really listen to this one very much. But Enter Sandman is just legendary.
Yeah, it's got some absolute bangers on it, though.
Yeah.
Sad But True is an absolute brilliant song.
Sad But True is just an epic, isn't it?
The Struggle Within is the only real true metal, almost thrash song that they had left. It's not really thrash, but it's an absolute brilliant album closer. We have some of Kirk Hammett's best work in that. Don't Tread is another brilliant song on this record. But yeah, everyone slates it for Nothing Else Matters, and you know, thrash bands can't write a ballad and all this sort of rubbish. But
they played it live when we saw them a couple of years ago, Gaps, didn't they? And it was brilliant.
Fantastic.
Went down amazing. Super. 100,000 people there, sun going down. Brilliant. I think that's it.
No, on to your last one, mate.
Okay. Well, this one, Skid Row, Slave to the Grind. Incredible choice to come back with such a metal album.
So metal. So more metal.
It sounds amazing. The songs are great. You know, they took the kind of glam Bon Jovi hit single formula and said, sod that, we're going to go more metal. And it was such a strange move, but we loved the fact they did that. They still had the looks and they still had the ability to play those older songs live, but they played them alongside these songs. So it was perfect. Absolutely perfect for us. Such a shame they couldn't maintain it, you know, and keep friends with Sebastian. Yeah, there's some real classics on this as well. I got that, which was a picture disc with a stencil. That's Wasted Time and Psycho Love.
Psycho Love's brilliant.
Still reckons he's in this picture.
Yeah, well, I was definitely there, but I think I might be in there somewhere.
Zoom in. But yeah, this was just everything we needed. The production was brilliant. And I haven't got it on vinyl, actually. I've only got it on CD. All this year I bought on CD. So
it costs quite a bit to get it on vinyl these days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I was totally into the CD format. What about you guys? Any highlights?
Yeah, Get the F Out, Living on a Chain Gang, Creep Show. Yeah, 4 songs all in a row. Psycho Love, just kick that off.
Monkey Business.
Not really a Monkey Business fan, to be fair. And I don't like a couple of ballads that are on there. But
Cowbell.
Then you get Slave to the Grind, which is mental.
Yeah.
But it's so heavy. So different. And they sort of, you know, they didn't really care that it was going grungy and all this. So they just came out with it's like Painkiller, isn't it? They came out with an absolute total metal album, and it's superb.
Because their debut record is just out of this world, just outstanding. To then have this, and as Gav, as you just said, to then go up a touch and go more metal. No bands went more metal. They go less metal. They get touched by the A&R people, or say, oh, let's get this, let's do that, let's turn it into this, let's primp your hair, let's do. No, they just went, F this. This is what we're doing. We've had pods, we've got Skid Row pods, and I imagine there'll be one showing its face at the minute on our screen. They're superb, and their attitude was everything that we wanted in a rock band, and the music backed it up. They didn't just talk the talk; they rocked the rock. You can't talk or listen to the band without letting out a string of expletives, because they're so metal and classic. I love this record,
especially when you consider that Doc McGee, who was Bon Jovi's manager, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And
Motley Crue.
Yeah. So you led a bunch of commercial bands. Surely he would have said, "Boys, you're killing yourselves here."
Yeah, and they're like, "Get the hell!" You know, it's just
it's fantastic.
And they were never going to. And they were going to combust. Of course they were. GNR were going to combust. Of course they were. What otherwise?
How did it do commercially?
I don't know.
Well, as far as I remember.
Yeah, I think it did all right. I'm not sure it did as well. I don't know if it did as well as the first one, Gaps. But this was, as whilst they looked cool, you had a band like Nirvana who were uber cool, and then suddenly that made bands like this not so cool. Yeah, I mean, so even though they look great, and they still look great when you look back on it now, actually very quickly there were a bunch of bands that Skid Row were probably on the border of that looked and were cool that suddenly weren't in that uber cool, which they would have been in '89 when they released the first album, because Nirvana absolutely kiboshed all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Brilliant. Well, great album. So on that note, let's have a look at there's some interesting picks that didn't make it into the top 12. And you'll be thinking, how on earth did some of those get in and these didn't? So couple just to pick out. Gav, anything you want to mention on those couple?
Yeah, we all friends of FM, so I was picking that one out again, as I mentioned before. CD, that's my format of choice was at the time. Alice Cooper, another epic band, so I thought I'd just show you this silliness. Let me. Do you remember the Wayne's World backstage pass thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they did a mock-up of that. This is just a promotional thing for Feed My Frankenstein.
Yeah,
so that's quite cool. Other ones,
GNR.
we put the GNRs together just so we could fit more in. DLR as well.
That's his weakest album, though.
Yeah,
didn't get into my.
Probably one of the strongest albums for Chili Peppers.
Yeah, that surprised it didn't make it in, really.
Yeah, that was borderline, I think.
This one for that again, great
album.
album.
A bit less metal, that would have gone in.
Yeah. Okay.
And Macaulay Schenker as well is the other one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Next six. Soundgarden, again, absolutely huge album.
Mighty Soundgarden at the time, and they timed it right, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, really good.
We underlined a lot about Queen, where the Queen should be in just out of pure loyalty, but
not.
There's a couple of songs on there that are just unforgivable, really. No, that is harsh. I'll take that back.
Like what?
You what?
Like what?
Oh, there's a song about the cat, Freddie's cat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But there's two or three absolute world class stonkers on there. Days of Our Lives and things. Show Must Go On. Innuendo's brilliant.
Yeah.
But let down by the other songs, sadly. My last one to push. I've got a soft spot for this album.
Yeah.
It's the last Motorhead album I bought when it came out, and I was thoroughly disappointed, unfortunately.
Guess what? Epic.
Yeah, they were on fire, weren't they?
And if you see this in the wild, pick it up. It's worth about 100 quid.
Yeah.
So the other ones, Sepultura, Marillion, and
Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah,
it's a good album. That Ugly Kid Joe
had some hits, didn't they, off that one?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, Surfers. So yeah, it was cool. That's the best of the rest.
Yeah.
The top 12, we've already talked through, and there they are. So without further ado, we're going to go over to DJ Jam, MC DJ Jam, who's going to take us through the official top 5 from 1991. Over to you.
Thank you very much indeed, Dill. Yeah, here is the official top 5 killer albums from Tales and the PowerAge. Kicking us off, could it be 1991 without a bit of grunge? Clearly not. Number 5 is Pearl Jam, their monster album, 10. Okay, in at number 4, this may be something of a surprise, but for two of us in particular, it was massive. It still is. It's Levellers with Levelling the Land. Oh, it's happening again. There's 2 at number 3. We have a tie for 3rd place. Exit Light enter Metallica at number 3 with the Black Album. Alongside, congratulations to Blaze, Jace, Jeff and Steve, who are Wolfsbane. And with Downfall the Good Guys, we've tied at number 3 in the official killer albums of 1991 from Tales from the PowerAge. Okay, the debut made it to number 1 in our killer albums of 1989. This time, they've managed number 2. Yes, it's the mighty Skid Row with the superb Slave to the Grind at number 2. Which can only mean, it's 1991, grunge has well and truly arrived. The official number 1 killer album from Tales from the PowerAge is Nirvana, and Nevermind. Over to you, Dill.
Brilliant. Well done, guys. Well done, Nirvana.
Thoroughly deserved.
Yeah,
totally. It was certainly a ground-changing album, and one that I've got very great memories from that time. So brilliant. So look, hope you enjoyed that. There's the top 5 or 6, whichever way you look at it. We managed to sneak Metallica in there somehow, which is good. So well done to all of the bands that that represented from that year. Lots and lots of other bands that I'm sure that you were buying at the time. And if you're thinking that Bryan Adams got in there, why didn't Lenny Kravitz or other people, then please put that in the comments, because there were a lot of other rock bands that were also doing the rounds at the time that were also very, very good. So that's our top 5. If you are interested in seeing what we're up to when we're out and about seeing live bands, that's not just new and upcoming bands, but also some of the classic titans and monsters from days gone by, then check out the PowerAge live channel. There's loads of videos on there, and if you fancy a chilled out night with the missus, having a few beers, there's no better way to spend it than watching that. The only other better way of spending it is watching more of our podcasts, which are on Tales from the PowerAge, which will follow this too. You can get in contact with us and find out what's going on Facebook, on Tales from the PowerAge, on X, on Tales from the PowerAge at TTFTPR. We're on BLUESKY too, on TFTPR at bsky.social. On Instagram, on Tales from the PowerAge. If you want some merchandise, please order from myspreadshop.co.uk, or you can check us out online on www.talesfromthepowerage.com. Right, hope you enjoyed that. We're all now going to have a chat around what on earth Jam's doing with that didgeridoo on an evening. So have a great evening. See you later. Bye.
Yeah, I was going to say, what other chart have Wolfsbane, Metallica in the same position?